It's a beautiful day to be sitting here on hole 12 talking to Craig Simpson as part of the Syncrude Oil Country Championship presented by AECON. Craig, you are golfing in the Celebrity Pro-Am today. Do you feel ready?
Well, as ready as I'll ever be. I think the one thing that always strikes me when you play in these events is how good the pros are. I mean, they're on the Mackenzie Tour, which is a great stepping stone to try to get to the PGA Tour, but I've found over the years that it's great to watch them, see how much they grind and how hard they work at their craft. It's a lot of fun.
Do you have any skill going into today? I mean, golfing with the pros, I'm sure you take away some tips.
I always take away some tips. My nemesis, anybody who's played with me, I'm a terrible chipper, and it costs me 8 to 10 strokes, over the course. So anytime I can get a tip or two that helps me calm it down and figure out how to do it. But I find, like anything, when you play with better people and better players, you always learn and pick up tips, and it's always been a lot of fun. This is the third time that I've been invited and really enjoy the time here. You
do have quite a history with golf. You have your Never Say Never charity event, which is coming up next year on its 30th year. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks. It's an important time. After the holiday weekend is always when we have it, and as you mentioned, next week's our 30th anniversary. It was interesting. I was after my first year here in Edmonton, I was 21 years old, and Ted Green, our assistant coach, asked me if I'd help lend my name to a small group, Spinal Cord Injury Treatment Center Society, and try to raise some awareness and raise some money, and here we are 30 years later, and about $4 million raised and an endowment chair in spinal cord at the U of A. So we're really proud of it, and this is a good test for me to get out and golf so I can do it again well next week.
Really impress all your peers there at your tournament. Let's just talk about the Oilers off season and just some of the new players and prospects that they brought on board. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think everybody looking into the season was saying they probably wouldn't do a big deal or a big free agency, but I think the tweaks that they did, you add a little bit of experience at center, and a guy like Kyle Broziak, who's comfortable here, knows how to play in this environment, and I think is a really good pro, will help spread that out. Reeder's a guy who's got an opportunity to really get a chance to come in and prove he can play at a higher level. And I just think that when you look at last year, you hope coming into this year that you get addition by just guys having better years than they did. Right. Down the core group, obviously Connor was great, Draisaitl had a great year, but you look from the back end up, you hope that improvement comes, and that should allow them to be a competitive playoff team.
In your experience, coming off of a year like we just had, do you think there's a fire lit under them to really kick things off this year?
Yeah, there better be. As a player, even personally, everybody has an off year, whether it's yourself as a player or collectively as a team.
Does that normally happen as a team?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of the exit meetings at the end, or the guys have had their discussions as a group and say, you have pride and you want to be at the top of the game. You don't want to be sitting in April watching the playoffs. There's nothing more depressing as a player, watching other teams and other guys that go on long runs. So
when you feel you should have been there,
totally.
Right?
And I think that's part of being a pro, is bouncing back. So I would expect them to be a hungry team early on. And one thing we've seen throughout the league, the October-November is such an important start. You can really put yourself out of the mix so early, and it happened this last year that it did. So I think it's going to be really, on the top of the mind of all the players to jump out of the gate quickly and make sure you get off to a good start.
Do you think starting in Europe will add a different dynamic for the team?
It's a challenge. We've done it once after we won the Cup in '90. We went to Germany and played there. Didn't play a league game there, but had a lot of training camp. And you got to be careful. Sometimes that meshes a group together. We had a veteran group, so I think it helped us a little bit. But I think the message there will be, you can't allow that to be an excuse. You use it as an opportunity to say, wow, what an opportunity to go and experience something you haven't been able to maybe in your life. You haven't traveled over there. But I would use it as a team bonding thing to say, okay, we've got a unique opportunity to come together quickly. Let's get off to a good start and bring it back to North America and go from there.
Wise words, good tips. Thank you so much, and good luck on the links today.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.